Hello YouTube, welcome back again. Today we're going to be doing a budget magic video, and I like these. I see them all over YouTube, and I think it's a wonderful way for newer individuals to Arena or to just Paper Magic to get into the game, because the game is fun. We just want to get more players into it. We know that there are some people that are worried about the cost of it, and well, first of all, Arena's free, and you can get this deck very early, very easy on, because there's going to be 0 rares in it. It's just going to be all commons and uncommons. So let's get right in the deck. Today we're going to be playing Budget Cavalcade. Now this is a takeoff of an old deck that was called Cavalcade Goblins. Basically the whole purpose of the deck is you play a whole bunch of 1/1s and you play Cavalcade of Calamity. Now, Cavalcade of Calamity is whenever a creature you control with power 1 or less, so if you had a 0 power creature, it would trigger this too, but there's none of those in this deck. Cavalcade deals 1 damage to the player or planeswalker that creature is attacking. Now, here's a key thing. If you swing in with your Grim Initiate and you attack a planeswalker, Cavalcade of Calamity will do a damage to the planeswalker that the Grim Initiate is attacking. You don't get to attack the planeswalker and then have Cavalcade point at the player. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're playing the game, so that you don't accidentally think that you're going to potentially damage a planeswalker and a player at the same time. That's not how Cavalcade works. But with Cavalcade as it is, we have a whole bunch of good 1/1s. And they aren't the best 1/1s, because there are a few 1/1s that you kind of need to take some rares into consideration to play, but they're not necessary. They only just give you a little extra percentages, but this deck still does pretty fine. So we have Grim Initiate, which has first strike. When it dies, it amasses 1. Now amasses create a army token with a 1/1 counter on it, well, equal to the amass trigger. Or if there is already a zombie army, then amass just puts a counter equal to its amass amount onto that creature. And so that's great, because when this dies, we get another 1/1 to help us proc Cavalcade of Calamity. A lot of times we'll find that there'll be a wonderful creature that has 2 toughness that can easily block our Grim Initiate and kill it. That's fine. We're an aggro deck. We just kind of want to keep attacking, keep turning our dudes sideways, and let Cavalcade of Calamity do its work. So this guy replaces itself, which is fantastic. Scorchbitter, All-Star. You'll see this in the unbudget version of this deck. Card is fantastic. When it attacks, it deals 1 damage to player or planeswalker it's attacking, so it's already got a Cavalcade trigger slapped on it. So that means if you have Cavalcade out, this guy is a 1 mana deal 3 if it connects. Or a 1 mana deal 2 and it doesn't even have to connect. They could block it and I'll still take 2 damage from it. So this guy's fantastic. And then we have our haste package. We'll talk about Torch Courier in just a second, but let's start with 10th Street Dodger. Fantastic. It's a 1/1 that we can make unblockable, so we can continue getting in with our Cavalcade of Calamity every single turn. Ginger Brute, just another 1/1 that also has a little bit of an upside of making sure that it can't be blocked. So, again, continually hitting in with our Cavalcade, getting that damage in, 2 damage a turn, if you will. Plus, it has the caveat of you can sacrifice it to gain 3 life. And then our last 1/1 is Torch Courier. Another 1/1 with haste, but it has Sacrifice Torch Courier. Another target creature you control gains haste until the end of turn. And that is good with one of our other creatures. We're going to climb over here to the 3 CMC spot. We're going to find Chandra's Spitfire. This is the way that we're going to win most games. In a lot of circumstances, the board is going to get so gummed up that we just can't attack in, and we just got to be patient. So, we fill up the board with a bunch of 1/1s, we put down a Cavalcade of Calamity, we have a Torch Courier on the field, out of our hand, so that our opponent didn't know, unless they looked at it, of course, we surprise them with the Chandra Spitfire, sacrifice our Dodger to make sure that Chandra Spitfire can attack the turn it comes down. And usually, if they do not have a flyer or a way to instant speed kill it, you win the game. Why? Because whenever an opponent is dealt non-combat damage, Chandra's Spitfire gets +3/+0. That means for every 1/1 that we turn sideways, we're pinging them with Cavalcade of Calamity. That's non-combat damage. Scorchbitter's trigger, non-combat damage. This has 1 power. It's triggering Cavalcade of Calamity to deal non-combat damage. It's very easy for this thing to become a 30-powered boom out of nowhere. or I guess technically it couldn't be 30, but it could be 31. And this is just how we win most of our games. So we have to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more cautious. Outside of that, we have just great value engines. We have Annex, which is another way to kind of get triggers like Grim Initiate, so we can continue attacking and continually getting 1/1. So like, we don't care if you block. We're getting in, we're smashing face, we're activating Cavalcade of Calamity. We just want to keep the pinging happening. Then we have Light Up the Stage, which is just a good draw engine. It's, and most of the time, a 1-mana draw 2. For us, that's fantastic. We're going to empty our hand super fast, so being able to get more gas is good. And then the last card is one of my personal favorite cards of Ikoria, Forbidden Friendship. And I do think that this is seeing play in the non-budget version of this deck, because it just makes 2 1/1s. That's 2 great creatures for Cavalcade. Outside of that, just a simple mana base of 20 basic mountains. And so that comes down to 20 uncommons, 20 commons, and then 20 lands. So for 40 cards, if you have nothing, could be a decent chunk. But there's only 20 uncommons and 20 commons in this deck. So it's not that terrible to find these little cards, cracking a few packs. They're going to come up quite often, since like a third of the deck, or more specifically, a half of the cards you need to collect are just commons. So that's the deck, simple and budget. We're going to run it through a few games in best of 1. Okay, and here we are with game 1. We're going against Mono Polyphonic. If you're watching Mono Polyphonic, let me know. Our opening hand is perfectly fine. We're going first, which is really what this deck wants to do. Now, we are playing a budget list, so that first turn, that going first, is a little over the top that we need. We're going to be getting in a bunch of damage. All these creatures can be made unblockable. We have Annex. All we got to do is find ourselves a Cavalcade, and we'll be able to do some good things. We're going to start with the Gingerbrute, just to kind of make them go, huh? And not lead them into any ideas. Maybe make them think we're on some kind of weird artifact-y deck. Alright, so they are on the mono-red Obosh plan. Best thing about this is I don't see them trading their Scorchbitter for our dudes, and if they do, that's perfectly fine. But if they don't, then the race is on. We'll get in there, see what they do for turn 2. Fervent Champion, yep. And their own Tin Street Dodger. So we have a kind of mirror match going here. We're going to play a really nice blocker, though, so. Drawing a little bit too many lands. A little too many lands. But we're making it alright. Extra added caveat is that Gingerbrute can gain us life here in a pinch, which against the mono-red Obosh deck can be game-changing. So that's another thing to just keep in our back pocket. See if we put them on a stall here. Now, if they do not attack and they just leave back their Fervent Champion, which they don't, then we might have to be a little bit cautious since, you know, first strike's kind of a bummer. So they're offering us up a potential trade here, or they're just trying to keep aggro. They could have a way to pump a guy, or they might just have a Shock or something, because Shock is still pretty good with Obosh. So we're just going to, while we can... It's pretty tricky. So we can block the Tin Street Dodger here, and make sure that we can continue blocking if we need to, because this is a creature that can be unblockable. Or we kill the Scorchbitter here now. I'm not going to block the Fervent Champion just because first strike could be a blowout if they do have a way to deal 2 damage to our Annex, or give this guy +2. So I'm gonna hedge it. I'm gonna take the Scorchbitter because we're still in a race here, and we are able to get in unblockably as well. So that's fine. Let's see what they do. Okay. So it might have just been the pump fake there, and if it was, then bravo to our opponent. But nope, they still had the stop. Okay, so that is why we didn't want to block the Fervent Champion. We blocked the Fervent Champion there. We deal 2 damage by the Bone Crusher Giant, and then this does the first strike damage, so it wouldn't be a trade. But hey, we drew another one, so perfect. Okay, so we're going to start by just swinging in. They're tapped out, so there's no need to leave any surprises. We're going to play a land, and we're going to throw down another Annex. Now, half of our team here can be made unblockable, so things are starting to get a little hairy for the opponent, but they can also start throwing down big guys. And they don't play Bone Crusher here, which is very interesting. And they just pass it back. Okay. Very nice. Okay, so now we have another question here. They have no mana open, so they can't pull any tricks on us. We could get in with our Annex here, just to kill 2 of their guys, and then just swing the rest of the board wide. We make these 3 unblockable, and then we have mana, we have light up the stage, we continue the things going down. If they don't block, they deal 5 to us on the following turn, potentially 8 if they have another Fervent Champion. Which is not lethal. Now, if they do have a 5th land, then Obosh coming down could be a big bummer, sad news for all of us. But if they did play Obosh next turn, that'd be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. Still not lethal, so I say we get in. Let's make this guy unblockable. Let's make this guy unblockable. And, hey, let's make this guy unblockable. Oh, oops. Can't be blocked except by creatures with haste. Phoenix of Ash has haste. So, that's a little bit of a misclick on myself here, but we're going to swing out with everything but the Gingerbrute. Leave the Gingerbrute back to block. We could also potentially not use Light Up the Stage here, just so we can leave 2 mana up to crack the Gingerbrute. Hindsight is 20/20. So, yep. But I think I'm gonna cast Light Up the Stage here, just to give us some extra value here. So we have a Scorchbitter and another Gingerbrute. I like that. So we will play Scorchbitter here, and then next turn we have 4 unblockable creatures, a creature that deals 1 damage. So unless they gain life, they will be put to 1 here. And we could also potentially draw another hasty creature. Or even better, we should just draw a Cavalcade. Cavalcade of Calamity. And they just scoop it up. They weren't dead there, but they were really put on a clock. They at least had a 2-turn clock. They had to kill some of our creatures. But there's an example of the deck. Okay, hopping in here to game 2. This hand is fine. It's perfectly okay. We have a lot of creatures to swarm the board. Sadly, we are going second, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But this hand is definitely keepable. Key thing to note is our opponent does not have any companions, so that initially makes me think of Temur Reclamation. But I've been seeing a lot of fun decks running around, you know, a lot of funky players getting a little swifty, if you know what I mean. We're definitely going to keep this hand. No need to go down at all. Maybe if one of these creatures was a 4th land, we might decide, I don't know. But we'll definitely keep this. Stomping Ground does kind of make me still think Temur Reclamation. I'm a big proponent on playing the creature that doesn't have haste first. Now, if they are playing some form of Gruul or weird monster-y deck, then we missed out on 1 point of damage. But if they're not, well, sadly they are, then we'll be able to get in with 2 damage on turn 2 instead of just, you know, ding-dings. But this is perfectly fine. We're going to keep using our mana here. We're going to go with Forbidden Friendship, and we'll still get in for 1. They could be playing Temur Reclamation with Arboreal Grazers. I personally do not play Arboreal Grazer in my Temur Reclamation deck, but there's nothing wrong with it. Definitely aids with these form of matchups. And in best of 1, I could see Arboreal Grazer being nice. Okay, so we're playing the Winota deck. So that can be kind of scary. Winota deck definitely playing green now. They're playing Neoform? I think that's what it's called? Neoform, as a way to sacrifice a creature and get Winota, and they usually target Alarios Entrapped because it's 3 mana and then boop, puts out Winota, plus Alarios Entrapped comes with a non-human. So you can get off of Winota, and you can also sacrifice to get Winota, and Arboreal Grazer just does a fine job of swinging in to proc. But we put ourselves in a little pickle here, because do we just swing in to lose one of our dudes? And I think we do, because we need to pressure as fast as we possibly can and hope they don't have Neoform, or hope they miss off of Winota. One thing that you could possibly do also is play this deck with Shocks in it. This personal build is just all in. So, yeah. We'll play our Torch Courier, and we'll play our Forbidden Friendship. And we're going to get in with everything but the Torch Courier, because we may want to hold that. Nah, let's get in with let's swing all that can. Now, if this was say Ginger Brute or Tin Street Dodger, I might have waited to attack with it just because we know we can make it unblockable and continue getting value out of it. Pretty interesting to see what our opponent here does. I would block the Torch Courier just because, you know, giving something else haste is pretty spooky, and blocking the Grim Initiate doesn't, well, killing rather, the Grim Initiate doesn't really do much because it just replaces itself. So let's see what they do. Yeah. So this is what I would consider to be the right play. I mean, you could block anything with the Boreal Graves, it doesn't have to be the Grim Initiate, so... But killing the Torch Courier is the right play. Alright, we got him down to 16. Cavalcade off the top is still pretty good. Didn't get to see it last game, so we'll see if we can see it this game. And there's the Neoform to get Winota. Yep, so they always have it. They always have it. One of the things we could have done is not attacked with one other creature just so we could block the reflection properly. But, you know, is what it is. And they scry. You'll see him sometimes gain 3 life here just to kind of set us back a little bit, but, doesn't do much. Thinking about taking a land here, that's interesting. I would take Grim Initiate here. To take a land, it's pretty interesting. Yep, no blocks. We'll take the damage here. And we notice pretty much a stone wall, very difficult thing to deal with. Because it just spirals out of control and we don't really have a way to kill it in this specific budget build. So let's play to our outs here, and our outs are we need to get Cavalcades, and we need our opponent to continue to miss off of Winota. So, to help with that, we're just going to attack with these 3 creatures, because we still need to keep pressuring in damage, and I'm fine with losing any of them. We want to leave 2 blockers back so that we can successfully block this reflection here, and then we're going to light up the stage and hope to get into a couple Cavalcades if we can. If we get 2 Cavalcades, we play 1 now, 1 next turn. The reason we don't swing with another one is because if they don't block at all, then we could be priced into playing one of our 1/1s to kill the 2/2, or the 3/2. And we may want to just play Light Up the Stage into Cavalcade of Calamity. So perfectly fine. Also, ton of pump fake action, because nobody expects us to be playing a budget build, so they might think that we're playing a bunch of different pump spells or burn spells that could kill Winota. So let's light up the stage here, spectacle it, and no dice. So we will play... We'll play Forbidden Friendship, gives us 2 creatures for Cavalcade, and next turn we still have 3 mana unless they Agent of Treachery another one of our lands away. Yep. Simply Dimply. They never miss. Here they blink Agent of Treachery. Yep. Alright, well they missed one. That's cool. Okay, so we'll sacrifice a couple of humans here to get rid of one of their doodly dudes. Although... You know what? No. We'll take 3 here. We'll take 3 here, and we'll kill this guy now. This lets us keep all of our creatures for if we do draw a Cavalcade for a little bit more of boom effect. And it leaves all of our creatures still able to block next turn, because no matter what, they're going to have 1 creature that's going to proc Winota. And here they make 2 more. This is an example of probably one of the decks that is just our worst matchup, and we just don't get it. Alright, well, this game is pretty much wrapped up in a nice little clean package. We'll play the Scorch Bitters, and no attacks here, because we can deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 damage if they don't block, if we draw a Cavalcade, and they don't steal another one of our creatures with Treachery. And that's just all hoping that our top card is a Cavalcade. So we're not out of it yet. And they have 4 blockers, so we could get in for 3 here, but then we lose 3, so nope. Yep, no attacks. We just need to hope that they don't hit another Agent of Treachery or Charming Prince, and that we hit a Cavalcade. And that they don't swing out to deal 8 damage. Okay, they're playing it safe. They're going to get 3 looks, so in the top 18, so we have to get really lucky. Yeah, you know, is what it is. And so now we can't even play Cavalcade if it is on top. And they have the ability to gain 5 life, so we will scoop it up. So you can't win them all, but it is a budget list, and honestly I think that this is our worst matchup. So, nice that we got to see a showing of it. Okay, back here with game 3, and it looks like we're going up against a Yorion deck, so that's pretty cool. And this hand seems fantastic. We have about a lot of 1/1s, we have our best 1/1s, we have an unblockable 1/1, we have 2 Cavalcades, which we haven't seen yet. So now we're going to be able to see what Cavalcade of Calamity can really do. And another added fact, the Yorion decks are usually fairly slow. We just need to hope and fade a lot of their 1/1 producers, because since we don't have the first striking creatures, they just trade favorably, and they might win if they get to the late game. But if we can power through this and get the fast kill, we can win this with this hand. Sadly, we're going second, though, so that's big game for our opponent. Let's see if they have a slower start. Alright. We do want to draw another land. This deck does want to see 3 or 4 lands in a perfect game. Too many and we're flooding out, we're just not hitting enough bodies on the ground. This is fine. So they're going to get the mana fix they need, and an 0-4 is perfectly fine. We have Cavalcade, and so that is going to be the big plan. We are going to play out 2 more creatures. We want to kind of slam Cavalcade when we can do a little bit more damage. And next turn, if we're lucky, we'll draw a land. We'll be able to go Cavalcade into Tin Street, and then the following turn, Cavalcade into maybe something else. But if we do not draw a land, we'll most likely just end up playing Cavalcade here. We really need to fade Omen of the Sun, though. Omen of the Sun just does so much against us. But they have an 80-card deck, so we need to fade 4 cards in their 80-card deck. It's possible. Let's see if they play Teferi here. Alright, so we got the land. We're not going to, you know, let them fake us out here. If they have it, they have it. If they don't, then that's great. Could just play a counterspell here. Alright, it lands. We will play the Tin Street Dodger. They do got something, but they usually do. We're just kind of hoping that it is the red or blue omens. And we'll all attack. And if our opponent had probably blocked the Tin Street Dodgers. Okay, so they did have the Omen of the Sun. So that's really sad. That is their best card that they could have against us at this exact moment. Let's see if they block properly. Scorch Bitter does deal more damage over time, but these guys are true trouble creatures. Okay, I think they made the wrong choice there, because now we're going to be able to deal 4 damage every turn unblockably. They could have board wipe, though, and that'd be pretty sad because we weren't able to get our Annex down. But we'll see what happens here. If we draw a land, then I'll probably go Cavalcade into Calamity into double unblockable Tin Street Dodgers. Nice. Okay, that's cool. But they're going to get to dig for a board wipe here. So let's see what they do. they reveal a board wipe, we definitely play Annex. Okay, cool. All right, and we did draw another land. So let's get a bunch of damage going here. We're going to keep going face. We don't want to waste any time attacking Narset. We could potentially kill Narset here because 1, 2, 3, and get in for 3, put him down to 11. But we could just deal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to them, and that might be neat too. They do have another Narset though, so they're going to get to go another deep. Alright. Just so that we can potentially fade a board wipe, because they would have played a board wipe if they had one, so we don't want them to look for a board wipe. That gets them too deep in their deck. So we're going to do 1 here and 1 here. So we'll get Narset off, and we'll deal 3. Fade another board wipe for 1 more turn, then an Annex comes down and does a lot of great things. Annex is also fine on its own with just a couple Cavalcades here, because it gives him 4 power, so he makes 2 1/1s if he dies. That shouldn't have been possible. I made it... Oh, except by creature with Defender. That's interesting. Huh, missed that little caveat. But that's okay. So that might have been a big oopsie-doopsies. But we were still able to deal 2 damage at least to Narset, which is what we wanted to do in the minimum. But I played Narset here looking for a board wipe. They don't have an ability to play a 3-mana board wipe right now because they don't have the right mana out. So that's great. So that's wonderful. So we will play Annex here. If we draw a land, it doesn't matter because this guy can block one of them anyway. And this will make the second wall. So right now these just deal for 2 whether they're blocked or not. Yeah, so that's cool. We will do a similar thing here. Shark Typhoon could be a problem, but Shark Typhoon can't block our Calamities. So we'll do this. Get her down to 1. We don't draw any extra cards, so just making their Narset not do anything else is fine. I'm sure they block this guy. Yep. And then we'll play Grim Initiate and an Annex, and we'll send it back to them. So now even if they have a board wipe, we're still going to get 5 1/1s out of it, which is lethal with Calamity. So they need to have a way to deal with our Calamity, or bounce one of these 2 creatures back to our hand before they board wipe. Of course, if they don't kill Annex, then it's not lethal, but, you know. You get fires out there. Now I'm sure they probably play Yorion to bounce their Omen of the Sun, since that'll gain them some life, make a couple extra blockers. Yep. Bing, bing. Funny they could also do here is if they have a 3-mana play, you can bounce your fires here, then you're not locked under fires, you can play a 3-drop. Do they have a 3-drop? Nope. They just cycle it now. Pretty interesting. Well, it was really weird, but it's okay too. Alright, so we hit a land. So what we are going to do here is we're going to make these only be blocked by the walls so they can continue ping-a-ding-a-ding. And we will get in with the Annex here, because to kill it, they'd have to block with their Yorion. And we'll keep this in hand because put the fear in them, you know? And I'll attack. Yep. So this is going to produce 2 1/1s, which is going to be fantastic. Sad thing is now if they do have a board wipe, Annex will not be around to produce 1/1s. However, unless they double block Grim Initiate here, which they're not going to, we will still have at least 1/1/1 back. So we still need to fade another board wipe, but we're getting pretty close. We're getting very close. And they just decide not to block the other Dodgers. And that's the power of keeping a land in hand. So they're down to 4, so we do have lethal on board. They need to wipe. And if they do wipe, then things are getting pretty close. We just need to draw a 1/1 hasty dude, which we have a ton of. There's Teferi. See what they do with Teferi here. Could bounce the Initiate and then wipe. Yep. See if they have the wipe. Wipe or another Omen of the Sun. Which there's still 3 in their deck, and they've been taking a whole bunch of planes out, so... They only get to play one more spell, though, and they're really thinking about it, so... Okay, so they're going to draw, so they don't have a wipe. Did they get the wipe? Which good game is that, opponent? Is that the I drew the wipe good game, or... And there you go. So that is budget of all budgets, no rare cards at all, beating the best deck in the standard format right now. Okay, going into game 4 here. This hand is fine. It's pretty middling. If we weren't going first, I might consider maybe throwing this back because we'd be able to get a draw off of it. But seeing as our opponent's on Yorion again, I feel as though this deck can do it. We just need to find ourselves a Cavalcade of Calamity and just hope to get there on the Spitfire, perhaps. So I'll keep this. We'll see how far we can throw our friends. No 1-drops, which is very rare for an opening hand in this deck since we play so many of them. So many of them. If there was Chalice of Void in this set, then we would just be skunked. You know, there's one of them. A little late to the party there, Tin Street Dodger. Make a couple 1/1s, get in there. At this point, they're kind of thinking, what are they doing? Forbidden Friendship? Let's hope they continue to have a slower start here. Tap land. Gain that life back, you know? Perfect. Alright, we're just gonna do another Forbidden Friendship here. Yep. All attacks. Just need to draw into a Cavalcade of Calamity. The reason I'm still throwing out the Forbidden Friendships is this deck does play a ton of board wipes, and so I want to keep more cards in hand. This is a 2-for-1, so... Well, keep on keeping on. Castle Ardenvale can be a problem later on. See if they have the Omen of the Sun. Always do. 80-card deck. 80-card deck never fails to have Omen of the Sun. Also, build this deck, or just play with Forbidden Friendship at all. Everyone always be hating on the dinosaurs. Nobody kills the humans first. They always kill the dinosaurs first. It's just rude. Mean to the dinosaurs. Oh boy, you're gonna kill one of my tokens? Draw a card? Oh. Best magic. Best magic. Alright. Let's, do this thing, get Teferi out of here. Get out of here. We're gonna light up the stage. Again, we're still needing to hit some lands here. Perfect. We'll play one of each. Board wipes are still kind of sucky, but we'll see what happens. You're only allowed to cast 2 spells a turn, so if they do cast a board wipe, then there's only one other thing they can play. Here they can Yorion, so they do board wipe, and then I'm assuming they Yorion bounce Omen of the Sun, and that puts them in a fairly good position. Interesting. Very interesting. Alright. And I think I'm just going to let Narset be here. Let's just go ham. Try to fade one more board wipe. They can't do anything on our turn except for sacrifice their Omen of the Sun to scry, and I'm hoping that they sacrifice their Omen of the Sun to scry, search for that board wipe. They are able to cycle on our turn. That is true. You gotta stare, opponent. Alright. Whew. We like to see that. Wonder what they're scrying for, though. Might have been better just to play Yorion there, blink it, get some life, but scries 2 to the top? Oh, we don't like to see that. Oh, there's Luca. Oh my, are they going to Agent of Treachery and take our Dodger? Or are they going to be like everyone else and kind of take our lands? No, okay. So this one's more into taking our dooders. Our doodly doots. And there's the Yorion. Blink their Agent of Treachery here, take our other creature. Yep, and if they target our creature here, then we'll just scoop it up. Ain't no way we come back from that. But that's okay. 1-1 against the best deck in Standard is still perfectly fine. You got it, opponent. Target this guy. Alright, and we'll scoop it up. GG's. One more game. Let's go to game 5 and see if we can set up a winning record. Alright, back here with game 5. We are 2-2. We lost to Yorion Fires once, and we lost to Winota. Winota is just almost impossible to beat with this deck. But we beat Yorion Fires deck, and we beat the quintessential red Obosh list. So, sitting pretty. Let's see if we can end this with a nice simple 3-2. It's going to be tough, though. We're playing against Yumori. Now, if they're playing against something spicy, we'll have a better chance, but if this is Yumori creatures, then it's going to be tricky. But we do have a Cavalcade of Calamity. We do get to go first, and we will be able to just throw out some hasty stuff. So let's keep this and start the beats. Now, if this is the more mutatey deck, then we will like that a little bit more because we'll be able to get in more widely, which means we'll be able to start pinching in more damage. We will go Forbidden Friendship here. And then we would love to draw a land. Would love to draw a land. Let's see if they have their little beastie boy. Nope, they just have their symbiote. Sweet, so we hit the land. We will play Calamity. And we will throw down the Initiate. Leave back the Dodger. And then next turn we'll get in with everyone, make the Dodger unblockable unless they play a wall. See what they do from here. Another Polywog Symbiote. and tap land. Okay. That's nice too. You know what? We're just gonna do that. So we will lose our Tin Street Dodger here, but this is just an extra way to start continually popping in damage. And we have more Tin Street Dodgers. Plus, next turn being able to talk with a 5-3 could be pretty nice. Should start seeing some mutation, though. They can do some pretty big things here. Auspicious Strix is the big deal for this deck. Pretty crazy that it is a uncommon instead of a rare. Card's really good, really underseen. So they got a little life gain there. It's a big old bummer. And now they have something that can easily block our Annex here. But we got a Cavalcade of Calamity. So we're going to swing in with everything here. Most likely they'll end up blocking Annex here, which gives us 2 extra 1/1s, so that's more damage we can do next turn unless they wipe. Yep. Good on our opponent, making sure to kill the token so we don't make a token to replace the token. Ooh, they decide not to. They're just going to take 5 here? Wow. Pretty interesting. And then we will light up the stage, perhaps hit into a land and another 1-drop. We did hit into a land, and another Annex could be interesting. Let's light up the stage. Set it for next turn. Double land. That's perfectly fine. So we didn't really want to draw those, so hopefully this is a goodie. Let's see what they do. I don't think this deck plays any board wipes. So they have to kill both of our 1/1s, otherwise we have lethal. Or they have to deal with one of our calamities. They do have the mutate guy that destroys enchantments. So that is an out for them. Sad day when Annex's Satyr duties do not have haste. They're digging. They are digging. Play a King Ghidorah here. They hit a blocker, but we still have lethal on board. And they do not have enough mana to gain life here. So they're still digging. I don't know if they have something in their deck that gains life upon it. So they do have Euro. So if they hit Euros, that keeps them alive. So we need to fade a Euro. No Euros yet. Oh, but they did hit End Razor. That was another way that they could pull this out. But if my calculations are correct, that's only 18 damage. Let me just double check here. 7, 10, Flying Vigilance Trample. That should only be 18 damage, so no blocks. Puts us down to 2. And that should be game. And there it is! So, we lucked out. They did not hit their Euros in their decks to gain lives to get out of it, and we ended up going 3-2. I will see you guys in the wrap-up. Okay, so all in all, deck did pretty good. Deck went 3-2. We did face some pretty wide and diverse decks. So that was nice, very nice to see. We did end up facing Yori on Fires twice, and we went 1-1 with the deck. So if you're playing a deck with no rares, all super budget, and you're playing against one of the most expensive and best deck in Standard right now, and you go 1-1, this deck works, and it can help you get up the ladder and into Mythic, and it wins in Mythic. So you already know what the score was. You already know how we did, 3 and 2. Let's go into the last little bit of the episode where I'll tell you where you should make the first changes in the deck if you want to. So if you like the deck and you want to take it to the next step and start debudgetizing it, the first card that I would suggest you get is Yorion. Yorion makes it so that we don't have to lean heavily on our Chandra Spitfire plan if the board gets too gummed up. No, we didn't see in this game where Chandra Spitfire came and started doing things. It just never came up. But a lot of times with this deck, what I've played, Chandra Spitfire is our ace in a hole, the way to get over a big hump if our opponent has gained a bunch of life, or if our opponent has killed most of our creatures, or if our opponent builds a wide board and we decide, okay, we're not going to attack anymore, we're going to wait till we get a Chandra Spitfire. But Torbrand helps us get a little extra effect out of our Cavalcades here. They do 3 damage instead. This deals 3 damage with its attack trigger. So Torbrand would be the first card to get. After you get Torbrand, then I would consider getting your Fervent Champions and then start tweaking your other creatures. Like I might consider potentially Bone Crusher Giant is perfectly fine in the deck. Now it's not a 1/1, but at least it's a removal spell. And outside of that, the only other card that I would consider potentially putting in the deck is the almighty and all-powerful 2-drop that I'm rambling to find it in the game. There it is, Runaway Steamkin. Because it is a 1/1, and it also can just hit harder. So a lot of times what you'll do is you'll play a creature, play a creature, play a creature, remove the 3 counters, play another thing, draw a bunch of cards, light up the stage, and just keep going off of this card, and it's just fantastic. And then if you want to kind of tweak the deck even further and kind of go a little bit away from Cavalcade, you can then start weaving the deck into the bigger mono-red deck that it is today with Robber of the Rich and so on and so forth. So that's the deck. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know if you want to see more budget Magic videos. I have a few more ideas in my mind, and I think this deck is fun, and I think it's positioned well enough to take to a local game store or even enter in the Magic Open. So definitely consider this deck, and hope it helps you start and get into the Magic world and get you them wins. You guys have a good night and stay safe.